Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Pregame Show presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR to get amazing odds boost every single day. Red Wings versus Avs, the old rivalry back in Colorado today. I don't know. I always start with this. How do you two feel about it? Is it really a rivalry still?
Fuck yeah.
You think so?
Burn them all down. I'll tell you, I don't think about I don't think about them much, but when I do, and the 2 times a year that the Avs play them,
you still have that leftover hatred for them.
Oh yeah, that reserve never runs on empty. Like there are times where I'm exhausted by hating Minnesota because it's just so all encompassing all the time.
Yeah.
And everything about the Wild is just so dumb and ugly and gross and to not be respected at any turn. But with Detroit, it's just different. Like there was a greatness there. There was a certain it was a different level. So for me, yes, the respect of the rivalry will live my entire life.
Yeah.
Just that being the formative years of my just not only my life but the hockey life as well. Like growing up in that rivalry and me believing that it was normal to feel like that about another team probably helped me develop certain competitive tendencies that are not healthy. But I think that I mostly always respect it, and at this point it's more fun to just hate them than required. And I'm good with it.
I hate
Detroit forever.
I hate them for my friends, basically, now. But, like, once they moved conferences and you didn't see them in the playoffs year after year, teams kind of went different directions as well. Like, the Avs first got really bad there for a little bit. And then now it's the Red Wings' turn, and they're kind of in a rebuild. Yeah. Kind of lost all that animosity towards them.
Yeah. So. I mean, for me, after the however many years of making the postseason in a row and them like holding on to that, where that was like their last bastion
they weren't
of shit
really
talking.
A competitive team besides first round exits.
And it was like, you know, like Datsuk left and like Zetterberg just disappeared, and like they just sort of slowly petered out, and Ken Holland just kept spending money to try and
stay relevant.
Well, it was a classic like Band-Aid on a bullet wound approach that the Red Wings had
until they had absolutely nothing left.
Because other teams started scouting countries like Sweden and Russia.
Yeah.
So their big competitive advantage that fueled the machine was gone. And their development, their much vaunted development model that everybody strokes themselves off to, really stopped producing.
It's outdated these days, kind of a little bit.
And they blew a handful of predictable picks where you were just like, the moment they made it, you're like, this is classic Red Wings, and this is a bad decision.
Yeah.
I'll say I don't think they missed on their last pick, though.
Nope. The last couple looking pretty good now this year.
Some of the. I mean, I remember when they took Mo Seider 6th. I was in the bowels of the arena because I was going to do Byram's presser because they had just taken him, and so I didn't hear the pick, and I just heard the whole crowd go, oh my god. And then I'm standing down there, and there are a couple of personnel evaluator people that were just kind of hanging about getting food because they had the whole setups right next to each other,
chatting,
and because their teams didn't pick for
another 15 picks or whatever.
And so they had time, and I tell you, I couldn't believe that they took Mo Seider 6th.
It was a surprise at the time.
And like we had talked him up during the draft process. I really liked him, but I didn't at 6. I was like, my gosh, and now he's a stud.
And that was you're still back at the beginning of where German prospects out of the DEL were totally unproven.
Yeah.
And it hadn't really become the league that it is now, kind of, where it's like, oh, you can consistently get kids out of this league.
Yeah, and you were still kind of fighting the same conversation. It was the same conversation that was being had around Cale Makar.
Yep.
When the Avs took him out of the AJHL, which had 1 first-round pick
ever.
in Joel Colborn. It was just it was like, how seriously do you take what this guy did in a league that doesn't produce talent? He has not produced talent, that like its best player to that point had been Colton Parayko, who was a 4th rounder. So It was, it was definitely interesting to see how Detroit, their approach. And, when Yzerman just bailed on the Lightning, the thing that he'd been building and building and building was like, I'm going back to Detroit.
Yep.
It was like the ultimate, what a gift.
Yep.
Because he was an established, top-notch GM, and he just wanted to go back to where he had spent his career. You think about how fucking lucky that is.
Right. it's the opposite of the Avs YOLOing with Sakic. It's like, our dude is already great at this, and he wants to be here.
And
he built a
Sakic,
team, and now he's coming back.
and Sakic hung out in the front office for a few years, and there was kind of this, they hired this nerd that didn't do anything, and Greg Sherman, and you're just like, what's going on here? It was just a really weird. It was just a really weird
dynamic for sure.
And to see where the two teams are now, you love the idea of, oh my God, one day a cup final with these two.
Yeah.
But you also don't want that other team in the cup final. That makes your skin crawl. The idea of them winning 3 rounds and getting a
I mean, they're a few years off. They're definitely playing above what everyone expected of them this year.
Which is funny because I looked at their record as I was driving in. I was sitting in the parking lot and I'm like, they're 13 and 14, I think.
I thought they were above 500. But
well, it's 13 and 11 and
2
3
overtime
or whatever.
losses. Yeah, sure.
But they've lost more games than they've won this year, and the feeling around them, because they've been so bad the last couple of years, and because they got bailed out by COVID from having the worst 82-game season ever.
I guess the Washington season was 80 games, right? Technically.
So it was they got bailed out from taking Colorado's mantle.
Yeah.
They couldn't, the Avs couldn't even, they wouldn't even let the Avs be the worst. It was just it's just the two teams are just so interesting. But I guess tonight, Lucas Raymond, Mo Seider, the rookies, the Dylan Larkin, and scumbag shithead Tyler Bertuzzi still out and about.
Yeah,
and
I think he's actually out for this game.
great.
Yep.
That means we don't have to put up with him. He doesn't get to sucker punch any of the Avs players from the bench tonight.
No, that runs in that family.
Look, the fans have to show their vaccination proof now to get into Ball Arena, right? So Tyler Bertuzzi's not allowed in.
Well, who is allowed in is potential Nazi Thomas Greiss is in net.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
So,
So drop 7 on that dude?
yeah,
I mean, his goals against this year are not. I think
he's been bad. I think he's got an 890 save percentage.
Yeah.
He hasn't been any good really since he left the island, and he wasn't that good then. They just kind of
Covered it up a little bit.
a little right. They just played some defense. So, with Greiss, you just both guys played last night because Detroit played last night and got blown out, and both of them played for some reason.
Greiss didn't play very long. I mean, he played a few minutes in the third there, but definitely.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you hope not to put that guy in.
Yeah.
They had to.
Well, it's just such a strange. It's just a strange approach.
Right.
You're getting rolled in the third period. You play the next night, and you're like, okay. Had they put Justus Annunen against Toronto, you're like, what? It wouldn't have made sense.
And then
right?
played him, yeah.
Yeah, and then played him the next. Where you're just dude, just sit him.
Yep.
Yeah. So
right.
we'll see.
On the Avs side of things, get JT Compher back.
Some people need to do some Thomas Greiss.
Yeah.
There's there are some people that need to definitely.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to do that
about
on
him,
incognito mode.
Do that one on your own.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna start getting some recommended things on YouTube that you do not want to go down.
JT Compher coming back. Nazem Kadri still out for tonight. We did do a little bit of a talk about this on yesterday's show, but expectations from Compher tonight. I don't know if he's a Red Wings killer, but would help if he was tonight.
Yeah, I think actually if we go through his per game,
He's pretty solid against
the
them.
two teams. Compher does the best against. Anecdotally, are Detroit and Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if he wants to keep that up, great.
I mean,
I'm good.
I
with
expect him to.
Every Av having their best games against Detroit is totally cool with me. I will forever be good with that.
I'm putting money on Compher doing well tonight.
Goals or points?
I believe it's points.
Okay. All right.
We talked yesterday about not being totally sure where he would drop into that lineup, and I love that Bednar
keeping it on the slide.
He was like, nah, we're not gonna talk about our line combinations.
This is gonna be his new thing now, right? Or he's not gonna tell media
it
anything.
started a couple years ago with the goalie thing that he would do in the second half of the season, where he would be like, whatever, and I talked to other teams and was like, scouting wise, like, what does it change? And they were like,
we still got to beat their best players.
It was like every goalie has a different scouting report, and so there are tweaks that you make, but it's just the difference of we're having this conversation instead of this conversation.
Shoot high glove instead of shoot blocker side.
Right, like Darcy Kuemper's in net, and you're like, all right, clearly just shoot at that blocker and make him actually use it. It's so it's gonna be really interesting to see what these magical lines are, and I can't wait to see how they're listed in all the different
the 7 different combos.
Right? Do the reporters in the arena get it right? Does the altitude graphic get it right? Does the social media team get it right? Because social media team is gonna have the greatest advantage. Because that's what the coach tells them, or that's what the organization tells them. But who knows by the time the game actually starts. Exactly. But I do think that the easy drop here is you just put Compher where Kadri was.
Yeah.
And minimize as little as possible.
Minimize the tinkering that needs to get. Now, the lines last game were kind of
all over the place
anyway. And it just hasn't really mattered what the line combos have been.
Yep.
I am curious. Jacob McDonald was up on an emergency loan basis. I don't think he is this time around. I think that this is I have to double check.
Maybe they're trying to do one of those things where they wait till after 5 or something.
Yeah, well, this is. I want to double check because he was up when he was here. He was on an emergency loan basis, which meant that the Avs had to send him back because they had the bodies, and then. If they get him back on an emergency loan basis, then they can freely send him back. But if this is an actual true call-up, then he's subject to waivers to go back down. This could just be a real call-up, or he's actually here now. Yeah. So we'll see what kind of paperwork they end up with
what
him.
It looks like exactly.
Yeah, because that kind of changes how seriously you take if it's an emergency thing, the guy goes up and down freely. And if it's a real call up, then
I'm assuming with Compher back that they can't do the emergency because they.
I was also as well, but I'm not sure.
Kadri being injured,
I'm not sure where the Kadri injury kind of plays into that.
Yeah,
so we'll see. We'll see what they want to do. Oh, fun. Yeah, warm-ups will have started now, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
it's look. Even
even
in warm-ups, I'm going to play it by ear because the blender will get going very quickly if things aren't working.
Yep.
He's never afraid to just start moving dudes around, let alone double shifting the big guys. So
yeah,
lines are a lie anyway.
What he was doing in the third period that last game, we were talking about that, right? For the first 5 minutes, he was just going 1-2 back and forth.
Yeah, they just literally he shortened the bench in a 6-2 game, and it's
must be sending some messages.
Yeah. Byram, we don't really know, but we'll get to the injuries here in a sec. But with Compher, if he's gonna be on that third line wing, they're not throwing him to the Wolves. That's really kind of
that's a pretty cushy job to come back to.
And that's more or less where we think he should be
long
anyway.
term.
He's always been a better wing than center.
Yep.
They keep playing him at center because they just. Oh, we love this part of his game or that part of it. And it's all right, he gets crushed in faceoffs and he doesn't drive any offense whatsoever. Why do you want this guy in the middle of the ice? And remains to be.
Is Nui playing center then on that line?
Yeah.
So, watching him those last few games, he's just out there moving his feet, causing issues for the other team.
I don't want to get too into it because I want to save some of that for something that I'm working on. But yeah. New Hook is really, I think the commitment to his own end, to the defensive side of things has been really impressive so far. Everything else, like, very rookie, like you're still seeing him trying to really figure it all out.
The energy level's there, though, right?
Oh, the energy and the effort are definitely.
He's realized you got to work every shift to be in the NHL.
Flashes of skill here and there.
Obviously, the underlying talent makes you go, but it'll come. It'll come.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the goal in Ottawa, he's had some pretty cheap goals here where he's getting into dangerous spots, but he's like, he has a puck that gets deflected off the stick and bounces off the ice, and you're just like, what?
Still counts as 1 point?
No, totally. And then the goal against the Rangers isn't a great shot. Like, it should be stopped by most NHL goalies. So you'd love to see him actually really just, like, get one, but you're not going to apologize for the success. You look at it, how Tyson Jost just can't even get a freebie every once in a while, And you're just like, look, you take what you get. He's what I like is that he's consistently in dangerous areas. He's consistently in scoring opportunities. Every game, his shot metrics kind of hover right around even. There are nights where he has good nights and bad nights, but he doesn't really get too far either way.
Well, and that's one where you're talking about what does this look like if you put him with better teammates too.
Yeah, and certainly health has played some sort of a role in that, because at full health, if Kadri were in the lineup tonight, their forward core would be at full health for the first time this season. And
it's so crazy.
We'd be talking about what do you do, what's your ideal configuration at that point.
Yeah.
But with Compher, if he can just it's going to be rusty. The expectations should probably be iffy. Especially on a third-line wing job. I would say we'll see. But I am curious how they use him, given the power play has kind of had some success without him, especially the second unit. I am curious. I expect he takes Kadri's place on the bumper on PP1.
You would assume, yeah.
It's just how it is. But
I really like the righty there, too.
Exactly. And I'm curious that usage, and I'm curious about BK. It's really been with LOC, Jost, Nichushkin, and Darren Helm.
I mean, I don't think you touch what LOC's doing on the PK for
sure, but it's
generating points.
If you take Darren Helm off of that, why is Darren Helm in your lineup at all?
Also a fair point.
You take Tyson Jost out of there, that's been one of your better PK guys, and obviously if you take Nuke out of there, you're just being dumb. So I am curious to kind of see how that his special teams usage gets managed.
I think from a minutes perspective, you don't do that right back from injury. You just kind of want to ease them in.
Well, that's where
doing an okay job. We were talking about it last game. We were like, savvy veteran play when he starts skating around in the neutral zone.
Oh yeah,
creating some separation. Then all of a sudden gets the puck poked from him.
Gets just stripped and it creates a 3-on-2.
Like,
oh my god.
Yeah, never mind that comment anymore. That was wrong.
Thanks for nothing.
All right, they're showing it on altitude right now, so I am curious. Blais, do you have any stories? Blais was at the dinner for the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame the other day.
It was a great night. Obviously Peter McNabb wasn't there, obviously because of his health issues.
Yeah.
His brother
that dude should not be in an enclosed space with
there was a lot of people there. But the stories that were told up there were awesome. You can go and find it. If you go to USA Hockey, they showed all of them. The video tributes were awesome as well. Like a big one, again, with Peter McNabb, just talking about how he talks about himself. He's so humble about stuff. And, when you talk to him, you would think he didn't do anything in the NHL, and then they show it, and you're like, wow, this dude was legit.
Like, what's that? You played nearly 1,000 games in the NHL. You scored over 800 points, including 400 goals.
Pretty good.
But when you talk to him, he's like, oh, God, I was a bum. Pete, what?
Yeah, Alex Newhook was there. I thought he was a child when I walked by him, and then I realized it was actually Alex Newhook. So
there you go.
Still
a baby.
Yeah, he still looks. I tell you, 2 years from now, when he actually looks all grown up, it's going to be like,
I'm sure he had to shave the face for the dinner too and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So he was definitely shaving.
Really,
he was there for his college coach that was going in, and he made a pretty funny comment when he was going in that Actually, Alex isn't as good as his sister. His sister is the best BC new hook to play.
This is the underlying Avs strategy is get players whose sisters are better than them. Compher's sister Jessie too.
Yeah,
kind of the same thing there. All right.
Abby Newhook just won
player of the month or something. Yeah.
Like he's not they're not kidding when they talk about how legit Abby Newhook is.
Yeah.
She kicks ass. Yeah. Not to take away from Jesse Compher, who also
is dope.
Great.
Yeah. All right. Injuries, AJ. I know you had a little bit of an update on Murray.
Oh yeah, just heard through the ground. I actually heard it a couple days ago. And I always just try and follow up on some things.
Confirm it a little bit, yeah.
Not just fire from the hip and be like, look at us go. But heard on the streets that Ryan Murray has a back injury and isn't expected back till springtime.
Ooh, that's
pretty consistent
tough,
with his whole career, where his back has given him problems, and that's probably how he knew 11 seconds into a shift he was like,
it's broken again.
This is bad.
That's brutal.
And but the Avs actually are hopeful that he will be back in time for the postseason. So when I say springtime, look, it's purposely vague. It could be March, it could be May. If he's back in March, that's enough time to get him back in the lineup. If it takes a little bit longer and it's May, he's probably done in an Avs sweater. So we'll see on that one, but should not expect to see him anytime soon at all.
Yep. Sounds about right, unfortunately. Besides that, we're still kind of in the dark on Kadri and Compher at this point. Or not Compher, sorry, Byram. Yeah. Francois, do we expect him to rejoin the team this week?
Next week. Yeah.
Next week. Okay.
He's going to be in Loveland for the 2 games for the Eagles this weekend,
and then should be good to go.
Yeah, he should be. I would expect he probably joins the team on Sunday.
Can't wait to see how he does this weekend as well. Obviously, after what he did.
Yeah, after gives up 3 in the first period, and everybody's shitting on him, and then 5 shutout periods, where it was like, y'all chirpy motherfuckers got real quiet. Like, where y'all at? So it was.
If you can keep that trend up, that feels good for the Avs, right? Getting that guy back as your number 2.
How different it would be without them having to survive with every time their starter. They haven't had a number 2 for a year and a half, for a year and some change now.
Yep.
It's been about 80 games.
Yep.
Since they've truly had a 1-2 combination that they wanted to have.
Right.
And you can poor planning or however you feel about it, but getting Frankie back, and if Kuemper ever finds a groove, all of a sudden all this what will the Avs do at goalie? It just looks so different when both guys are actually good and play good hockey.
Yep.
If they're playing well, then you feel so differently about that position. Because right now you're the Avs have given up a jillion goals, and they're 4th worst in the NHL in goals against per game. It hasn't mattered. They just keep winning because they're outscoring their problems.
Yeah. Right now it doesn't matter, right? Especially when you're putting up +5 every game.
Right, and you're giving up a goal or 2 in true junk garbage time.
That really don't matter to the outcome of the game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're even talking about the last, 3 or 4 Maple Leafs goals. You're just
the game was already over at that point.
We get it. It's
pad them stats. Pad them stats.
It's what the Avs did to that poor kid in New York the other day who just wanted to make one NHL start and, tell his kids about it. And instead, he's just going to be like, no, I topped out at the AHL.
That game never existed.
Yeah. No, don't look it up. I topped out at the AHL.
He says the exact same thing Peter McNabb says, but he actually means it.
Yeah, right. Same exact attitude, but
more accurate when he says it.
This is Manscaped.
Yeah, that's Manscaped. That's their body wash and shampoo.
I've been using it.
Yeah, me too.
It's good.
The wife likes it, so
great.
Take it.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got for good bets tonight? I always defer to Blais at this point because he's just been on fire.
I haven't made any bets.
Hey, I will say, guess what? DraftKings found out that people were just using the Avs as a cash register, and things have changed.
Is that why they've been pulling bets like crazy off of the Avs table? Like,
I mean, it was unreal there for a while. You're like, Cale Makar with an assist is plus 120. Cool, I'll just take that all day.
Yeah.
Every day. So yeah, I mean, it's been going well. Let me see what I had tonight.
All of a sudden, they're looking at like, all right, where are people making money? Like, there's a lot of people in Colorado just cashing every night.
Let's see. I did a parlay.
Oh boy, here we go.
So I took the Avalanche on the money line. I took over 4.5 goals, so playing pretty safe there. Nathan McKinnon to be an anytime goal scorer, and the Colorado Avalanche to win the first period.
Win the first period.
Yeah,
so
plus 275.
Oh, that's good
plus
money.
275.
That's good money
going
for that.
against their backup.
Yeah,
that's interesting. That's interesting.
It's only 4, legs of a parlay, so might as well give it a shot.
Should do what I did with the Broncos game and just make I think it was a 7-leg parlay and then watch all of them lose.
I also have, so I took Compher with a over a half point. So, and that was at, let's see here, plus 130.
Yeah.
Coming off injury. So I was looking for those value pieces.
Trying to get some good odds.
I mean, because the other ones were just insane.
We've already got this.
Yeah.
We've already got
multiple factors coming on the line.
We've already got different reports on different lines, so it's already begun. I bet Jared Bednar goes back and watches this after a game and is like
giggling to himself.
Yeah. This is his new kink, right? Is he's just like, how wrong can all of these lines be?
Looking pretty GQ today too. Got the haircut.
Yeah, got the hair trimmed. Yeah,
that was the thing RK was going on about today. Was that it was the haircut game? You got to put all the money on the Avs tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize that the haircut game.
That's
was
what D-Line always says too. He's like, the Avs are deadly when Bednar's got it high and tight.
Got the crop going.
Yeah.
What's been weird is he didn't have it high and tight, and they won the President's Trophy.
That's true.
And it's like, what point are you guys making here?
Okay. I guess we're going to wrap this thing up. We're less than 10 minutes to puck drop, so we're going to get out of here. You can catch us at
order food.
The post game as well. Just to wrap things up, obviously, everyone, I hope you're sending some good vibes to Demaryius Thomas's family and all of them. Obviously, a tough one to hear for everyone in Colorado.
That sucks.
Last night, but
I really wanted to be on the TDSP episode today talking about and remembering all of the great memories because he was, all respect to Rod Smith, but he was my favorite Broncos receiver ever, and getting that news last night was brutal.
Yeah, obviously a tough one to take, so rest in peace to him, and send good vibes their way.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, we'll talk to you after the game. See you later.